1978, and we're about to make history with the very first Star Wars podcast. First off, what is a Star Wars podcast? Well, it's like a radio show, but it's on your computer. If you have a TRS-80, no matter what kind of computer you have, if you have a modem, you can dial into your local BBS. That's a local bulletin board system. Now, I don't know the number to your local BBS, but I'm sure if you go to your library or join any computer group, you can find a lot of those in the newspaper. They will be able to tell you where your local BBS is, the phone number to dial in. You just dial into the BBS, and hopefully they're carrying the Star Wars podcast. Right now, we're on maybe about 32 different local BBSs throughout America. I hope they will expand and more people will get this. But it's a time-consuming effort. I have to record it, put it on my bulletin board system, and this is not easy. I don't know if you're a computer geek out there like I am. When I record this whole podcast, it comes up to about 735 kilobytes. Yeah, that's right, 735 KB. I mean, that's more than your standard computer. So as you can guess, this is a large file, and it's asking for a lot of room to store on a local BBS. But besides all the technical stuff, what are we going to do with this podcast? Well, we're going to talk about something you and your friends talked about for a whole year. Something that everyone has been talking about for a whole year, and now you can join and listen to me and my friends talk about it. We're going to talk Star Wars, not just the movie. We're going to talk Star Wars merchandise, like the action figures. We're going to tell you about news about the upcoming Star Wars 2. If you haven't heard, that's right, there's going to be a Star Wars sequel. They're going to make Star Wars 2. And we have a little bit of news about that a little later on. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the comic books that are out. Marvel Comics does a whole line of Star Wars comics. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about anything Star Wars. And we're going to talk about anything else we want to talk about. That's what we do here. So sit back, open up a can of tab. We're about to talk Star Wars.
Star Wars, the galaxy's most popular movie, is great family entertainment. Still showing on the giant screen at the Dominion Tottenham Court Road. Seats bookable. Star Wars. Certificate used. May the Force be with you.
I like to start off each podcast where we're going to talk about something in the Star Wars movie, kind of explain it, or maybe just talk about it. In fact, I'm going to try to get some friends on so they can give their point of view. And what are we going to talk about in this episode? We're going to talk about Biggs. Who is Biggs? I hear this a lot come up from fans asking, who is this guy? Now, if you don't know offhand who Biggs is, he's referred to as Red 3. He's kind of like Luke Skywalker's right-hand man. During the attack of the Death Star, Luke Skywalker, of course, is flying his X-Wing ship to destroy the Death Star. He has two X-Wing fighters behind him. One is powered by a man named Wedge. Can't find a name, last name for Wedge, so we're just going to call him Wedge right now. And his other is Biggs. You can actually, in the film, hear Luke call him Biggs. But who is Biggs? There seems to be some kind of rapport already with Luke and Biggs. What's the deal here? Well, it all comes down to a deleted scene. In the original cut of Star Wars, which we didn't see at the theaters, it starts off showing the droids aboard the blockade runner, like normal. And then we cut to a desert scene of Luke Skywalker looking up in the sky at a great battle going on, which we know is the battle between the blockade runner and the Star Destroyer. Well, he runs to Taku Station. You remember Taku Station, the place where Luke wanted to pick up power converters? He runs there to meet his friends. There he meets his friends, a girl named Wendy, a couple other friends, and who's there with him? Biggs Dartlighter. He's an old friend of Luke's, and he's come back to Tatooine. He joined the Academy, and he's got plans to jump ship, to run off and join the rebellion. And Luke thinks he's crazy, that he'll never be able to find it. That they're scattered all across the galaxy. He'll be chasing down leads and rumors for the rest of his life. Well, apparently not. Apparently, he was able to track down the rebellion and join the rebels pretty fast. Which brings up a question. He seems to join pretty quickly, if you ask me. The way, the rebels are in hiding. They're not an easy group to find, even if you want to join them, if you believe in their cause. One, they're not going to take just anybody in because they don't want to take spies in from the Empire. So how did he get linked to the rebels that fast? I'm really not sure. And they let him be a pilot during one of the most important battles they have. People said, well, they were short on men. They needed somebody to fight the Death Star. They didn't care who it was. And maybe that was his way of proving to himself to look, hey, I'm not a spy for the Empire. I don't love the Empire. Watch me destroy the Death Star. So maybe that was it. Maybe it was kind of a training mission for him to prove himself by attacking the Death Star. But this scene was cut from the original release of Star Wars. I haven't seen the scene. There's actually been some photos. I've only seen a few of the cutscene photos of Luke looking up at the battle. I haven't seen any with Biggs. But I know it was filmed. So the question now comes, should this have been in the film? Would this have made the film better if it was in it? Well, we discussed it with our fans and everything that said, Star Wars is kind of the beginning of it, although it's breathtaking to look at with the battle of the ships and then the landing on Tatooine, that it needs to keep moving, that you need the movie to move on and move on and move on. Where if you put in this scene with Luke hanging out with his droids at his farm and then going to his friend's house, that really doesn't move the story. That really has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. And I think that's probably why it was cut. I'm not sure, but I can hear that argument. Now, the other argument I'll give to that is it gives more depth to the Biggs character at the end of the film. When he dies, we see that Luke not only just lost a pilot that he was working with, he lost a dear friend, someone he looked up to. This was kind of like a big brother. This is kind of like a big brother to Luke. Now, I know it's not his brother, but it's like, but it is. But he sees him as, you know how it is when you're, late teens, 18, 19, and the big man on campus, the football player of the high school, or the older guy goes off to college. You kind of admire him, and that's kind of how Luke looked at Biggs. So I think it would have gave a more depth to the character of Biggs, of course, and it would have made Luke lose something during the Battle of the Death Star. Now Luke already lost his Uncle Owen, and he already lost Ben Kenobi. So you can say Luke already lost a lot. He didn't need to lose someone else. But I think if we knew who Biggs was, at least that scene when he attacking the Death Star would have been a little bit more powerful. But anyway, that's who Biggs Darklighter is. What a crazy last name, Darklighter. Now, I don't know where George Lucas comes up with these names. Skywalker and now Darklighter. It's crazy. But a lot of people I've seen ask, who is Biggs? Who is the pilot? So I just want to give a little information about who he is. Maybe next week we'll find out who this Wedge guy is. Again, does he have a last name? How long has he been with the Rebels? Love to find out more about this Wedge character, but let's move on.
From Eyewitness News Central, here's the 1020 report.
Let's talk Star Wars news. We actually have a lot of news we can cut. Yeah, hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Hey, Stephanie, turn that down. I'm trying to record a podcast. A podcast. And the thing about my computer when I talk about Star Wars, I don't talk about it all the time. Turn that disco crap off. Okay, guys. Whew, sorry about that. Sisters, right? Well, let's talk news. First, let's go over some movie news before we get into the merchandising and other news. First up, some sad news to report. Leah Brackett has passed away. You might not know the name, but she was a author of a lot of science fiction novels. But how is she related to Star Wars? Well, sadly, just a few weeks ago, she turned in her first draft for Star Wars 2. She has been battling cancer. Sadly, she did lose that battle. We have no information about her script for Star Wars 2, but if you read some of her little work, she's been really heavy into science fiction movies. And not just science fiction, but westerns. She co-wrote the western Rio Bravo with John Wayne. Very good western movie. And as anyone that knows Star Wars is a mixture of a Western film, not just science fiction. Also in Star Wars news, I'm going to have to go back here to a little bit of the Star Wars news because, of course, we missed a lot of news when we didn't have a podcast. So I'm going to go back. We're going to go all the way back to December. I don't know if any of you saw this. Did any of you watch the Bob Hope Christmas special? Well, if you didn't, then you missed Bob Hope playing Darth Vader, or as he called it, Bar Vader. And guess who was on the special with him? Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. That's right, Mark Hamill was actually on this special with Bob Hope, and they did a whole they did this Star Wars skit. Luckily, I was able to put my tape recorder by the TV and get a little bit of it. I couldn't get the whole thing, and it would just take up too much space to play the whole thing here. But here's a clip from the Bob Hope Christmas special. If you didn't see it, if they ever repeat it, I guess next Christmas, hopefully they'll repeat it. You just missed one of the greatest comedy skits of all time.
Hold it right where you are. It's Luke Skywalker. Did you bring the Force?
You better believe it. The Los Angeles Police Force.
How did you find them?
Now you're all under arrest for malicious mutilation of a marvelous movie.
I should have stuck to looking for Mr. Goodbar.
And some news from last month, Lucasfilm opened a new branch of their film company called Black Falcon Limited. What is Black Falcon Limited? Well, this is the company that Lucasfilm is going to use to handle all the merchandise rights. So all the toys coming out, bed sheets, t-shirts, trading cards. There's a ton of stuff out there with Star Wars on it and more coming. So you're going to see the name Black Falcon Ltd. for a long time to come. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, a couple weeks ago, a new science fiction movie opened that promised it was going to hurt Star Wars. It's a science fiction movie called Laser Blast. I haven't had a chance to check this out. It's not playing at my local theater. I did see a trailer for it when I went to see Close Encounters. It totally rips off the Star Wars trailer. I mean, it's almost the same thing. Luckily again, I carry my tape recorder everywhere I go. So I'm going to play you a small clip from the Laser Blast trailer and a small audio clip of the Star Wars trailer. And you'll be able to tell right there that they rip each other off. And there's also a part in this Laser Blast movie, which honestly I'm not hearing really good things about. I know they say that they're going to take a lot of Star Wars fans, and this is going to be the Star Wars of 1978. There's a part in it where they're riding down the road, and the bad guy in the movie has a gun or a blaster or something, I guess a laser blaster, fires it out the window, and what does he blow up with his laser? A billboard on the side of the road with an advertisement of Star Wars. So they're really going hard after Star Wars, ripping off the trailer, blowing up an advertisement for Star Wars on the side of the road. Now, if you've seen Laser Blast, maybe you'll let me know. Is it better than Star Wars? I really doubt that. I mean, what could be better than Star Wars? Is it going to give Star Wars a run for its money? From what I've seen from the trailer, I don't think so. And some of the stuff I've heard, I don't think so either. But anyway, let's take a small listen. The first you're going to hear the Star Wars trailer that was released in 1976. Followed by that, another clip from the Laser Blast trailer. And you tell me if they don't sound similar.
20th Century Fox and George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti, now bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Here they come. Coming in too fast.
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe. It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance.
This could all be happening right now, somewhere on this planet. It's the story of a UFO that has landed and visitors from a galaxy light years away. It's an adventure unlike anything on this planet.
is here now.
So you tell me what you think. Did that sound like it totally ripped off the Star Wars trailer? I think it did. Now let's move on to some book news. Last month, the new Star Wars book, Splendor of the Mind's Eye, was released. Some are saying this is going to be adapted into the Star Wars sequel, Star Wars 2. But we haven't had any confirmation of that as of yet. I would be very surprised if they released a book to the sequel to Star Wars this early out. So don't look for this to be Star Wars 2 as some people have said. I haven't read the full book yet. I'm about halfway through it, but I do have some issues with it, and I'll discuss those in a second. First, let me give a summary about what this book is about. Stranded on a jungle planet, Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia find themselves desperately racing Imperial stormtroopers to claim a gem that has a mysterious power over the Force. Luke Skywalker expected trouble when he volunteered to follow Princess Leia on her mission to enlist the rebel underground in the battle against the Empire. But the farm boy from Tatooine hadn't counted on an unscheduled landing in a swampland, hadn't counted on any of the things they would find on that strange planet. Hidden on this planet is the Kyber crystal, a mysterious gem that would give the one who possessed it such powers over the Force that he would be invincible. In the wrong hands, the crystal could be deadly. So Luke has to find this treasure, and find it fast. Accompanied by R2-D2 and C-3PO, his two faithful droids, Luke and Princess Leia set out to find the Kyber crystal. And that's what the story for Splendor of the Mind's Eye is about. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it, and I've got some issues already with it, and I thought I would touch base with them here. First off, Darth Vader returns and fights Luke Skywalker. But you know what Darth Vader has that he doesn't have in Star Wars? A blue lightsaber. Why does Darth Vader have a blue lightsaber? Now maybe Darth Vader carries more than one lightsaber with him, but I'm disappointed that he didn't have the standard red lightsaber as he does in Star Wars. And if they did turn this into Star Wars 2, it wouldn't be as fun seeing Luke's blue saber fighting Darth Vader's blue saber. I would want to mix it up. It seemed like it would go better having the red. So Mr. Lucas, if you're out there and you do make Splendor of the Mind's Eye Star Wars 2, can you change the blue saber back to red like we saw in the movies? Another thing that I have a problem with this book is a few people refer to R2-D2 as D2 unit. I always heard he was an R2 unit. I don't know why in the book people call him a D2 unit. Makes no sense. And just to let you know, in case you haven't read the book yet, this movie takes place about 2 years after the events in the Star Wars movie. Another thing I have a problem with is Darth Vader says that Luke Skywalker shot up his TIE fighter. Now, I've seen the movie only 20, 30 times. Luke Skywalker did not shoot up Darth Vader's TIE fighter. That was done by Han Solo inside the Millennium Falcon. So Vader should be upset with Han that Han shot up his TIE fighter, not that Luke shot it up. It's little things like this that's kind of odd in the book. And there's one more that I've gotten to so far that kind of, I don't know if this upset me. It just kind of, maybe this isn't what, the other ones I kind of see as a mistake. This one I kind of see as, hey, maybe there's more to it. But there's a line in the book where 3PO says that Darth Vader knows the code words to shut him down. Now, I didn't know there were words that you could say to get 3PO to shut down. But that's very interesting. How does Vader know these codes? How does Vader know stuff about C-3PO? Was C-3PO around back in the day when Darth Vader fought Luke's father and hung out with Obi-Wan Kenobi? Does Darth Vader know C-3PO? He is a droid. He's probably been around for years. You know, he doesn't age like everyone else. He could have been there during the Clone Wars. Think about that. C-3PO could have been in the Clone Wars. That's right. The war, if you don't remember the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi talks about it. It's a war. We're not exactly sure what kind of war it is. People say it's about clones fight. People say it's a clone war, so it must be about clones. That might be just the name of the war. You know, a clone could be a system, a planet. We don't really know what the clone in Clone Wars means. The only really reference we have to the Clone Wars is what Obi-Wan tells Luke in Star Wars, where he says he fought with his father during the Clone Wars. Could C-3PO been alive during the Clone Wars? And I'm going to put this out. This is crazy theory to say. Could C-3PO have been Darth Vader's droid? Think about that. Maybe Darth Vader, when he was going around killing all the Jedi Knights during the Clone Wars, maybe he had a droid. Maybe he had a droid companion. And maybe that droid was C-3PO. And somehow, between the Clone Wars and Star Wars, the Rebels got C-3PO and reprogrammed him to join the Rebels. Or maybe droids have a conscience. Maybe he saw Darth Vader hunting down these Jedi Knights and changed his mind. Didn't want to be a servant to Darth Vader anymore. I think it would be more of kind of reprogrammed. But it's interesting. How does Darth Vader know the code words to shut C-3PO down? It's almost to me like Darth Vader programmed those code words into him. So I think there's something there. Now you can call me crazy, but I really think there's something there. Again, I really think it's possible that C-3PO worked for Darth Vader at one time. That's mind-blowing to say. And some of you probably can't believe I'm saying it. C-3PO would be a fan of Darth Vader. Like I said, maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he's been reprogrammed. It's hard to say. Or maybe I'm just really off base here. But it seems that line's in the book for some reason, and we know George Lucas has been with the Marvel comics and the novels really hands-on. Now this wasn't written by George Lucas. It was written by Alan Dean Foster, great science fiction writer. He actually wrote the novel to the Star Wars that the movie's based on. Although the book does say it's written by George Lucas, it's written by Alan Dean Foster. George Lucas is very hands-on with these books and Marvels. He's not going to put something in there like that, I think, unless there's a reason behind it. So, let me know. I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. How does 3PO know these codes? Maybe it's a code that all robots have. Maybe. If that's the case, I wouldn't think it was anything special. I think everybody has the code. I don't think he would say, hey, Darth Vader has the code to shut me down. He would just know, hey, the Empire has the code to shut me down. Everybody has the code to shut me down. There's something in there between C-3PO and Darth Vader. I don't know what it is. Maybe Darth Vader captured him during the Clone Wars. Put these codes in him. I can't wait. Oh, it boggles. I can't wait. George Lucas has talked about doing 12 Star Wars movies. And he's talking about going back to the Clone Wars after these Luke Skywalker adventures. That we'll get to see Darth Vader fight Luke Skywalker's father. Can you imagine? That'll blow my mind. That's gonna be a great movie, I'm sure. Darth Vader versus Daddy Skywalker. It gives me chills just thinking about it. And not only that, Obi-Wan Kenobi would be right there by Luke Skywalker's dad's side, fighting Darth Vader. I don't know if I can sit through. I don't know if I can wait that long. I mean, the way they're talking, we're not going to see the Clone Wars movies until probably, I don't even want to say it, probably until 1985. Maybe a little later than, maybe even, my mind's saying, hey, it might be 1990 before we can see it. It might be in the 90s before we actually see the Clone Wars. I hope that's not the case. George Lucas, come on, let's do a movie every year. I can't wait to, I think the target release date for Star Wars 2 is 1980. I can't wait that long. I can't wait through all 12 of these. And from what I understand, we're going to do a Luke Skywalker adventure, then we're going to go back to maybe some Luke's father and Darth Vader, how they were friends at one time and how they turned on each other, how Darth Vader turned on everybody. And then we're going to go, I guess, in the future, maybe older Luke Skywalker and everything. It's an interesting time. This is the greatest time in the world to be Star Wars fans. The next 10 years, maybe 15, who knows, it's going to be a great time to be Star Wars fans. Now, I feel sorry for the people that's going to be born 10, 15 years from now. Because they're going to be left behind. They're going to be like, oh, they're not going to know Star Wars like we know it. It's a great time to be alive, and a really great time to be a movie fan and a Star Wars fan. Really exciting. And the only other problem I have with this book is there's no Han Solo. It's been rumored and talked about that unlike Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford has not signed on for Star Wars 2 yet. Yeah, that really has got me nervous. Can you imagine going to see Star Wars 2 with no Harrison Ford, with no Han Solo? Come on, Harrison. Come on. Come back as Han Solo. And I've heard that's why, if this book is adapted into Star Wars 2, the movie, they didn't want to have Han Solo in the book and then have to recast him or kind of work around why Han Solo's not in it. So he's not in the book, like I said, in case I guess they do turn this into Star Wars 2. But I'm a big Han Solo fan. I know a lot of people love Luke Skywalker. I love Luke Skywalker too. But to me, my favorite in the Star Wars movie is Han Solo. And I can't stand the thought of going to see, and I can't stand the thought of going to see Star Wars 2 without Harrison Ford as Han Solo. I need my Han Solo fix when we get to Star Wars 2. And I want to see what's going to happen. Is he going to pay off Jabba the Hutt with the reward money? How is he going to be in Star Wars 2 anyway? Is he going to stay with the rebels? He's not really one to stay there and fight. He did his thing. He came. He did his job of rescuing Princess Leia. But then he turned around and came back and blew up Darth Vader's ship and helped destroy the Death Star. So has he turned completely? Is he now a rebel? Is he happy to be part of the rebellion? So many questions left unanswered at the end of Star Wars. And we're going to find out. But sadly, we're not going to find out until 1980. We've got a long way to go before then. And speaking of Star Wars 2, I'm hearing rumors that a director will be named in a couple of weeks, maybe by the next podcast. I've heard some names floating around, but I don't want to say anything until we get some official news. So hopefully by the next podcast, we might have a director. Now I know what you're thinking, well, what about George Lucas? He directed Star Wars. Why isn't he directing this one? I don't know. That's a good question. We haven't heard anything from Lucas that says he's not directing it, but rumors out there's probably a handful of directors. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I was going to wait till the next episode to talk about this, because it's kind of gets your heart back. It kind of gives you chills just talking about this also, like the 3PO Darth Vader thing. There's room. Now again, these are just, this is just fan groups talking back and forth at meeting, fan groups talking back and forth, so don't hold me to it. We might get a Star Wars sequel directed by Steven Spielberg, the guy that directed Jaws and directed Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Him and George Lucas are friends, really close friends. Could he direct Star Wars 2? That's really high up on the rumor list. Every time I go to one of my sci-fi conventions, or I do this monthly sci-fi talk at this local bookstore, and we all get together and talk Star Wars and stuff, and it always comes up. Spielberg doing Star Wars, so that would be a dream come true. I mean, it'd be a dream come true just to see George Lucas and Spielberg work together. But to see Spielberg do a Star Wars film? For my money, I want George Lucas to direct Star Wars 2. I don't want it to be handed off to someone else. But if he is going to hand directing off to someone else, there's no one else better than Spielberg. They're best friends, so they're going to work really great together. Like I said, I just get chills thinking of it. But that's the rumor. I didn't want to bring that up. Hopefully by the next podcast, episode 2, we might have a director name, because they're going to go into pre-production pretty soon. I mean, this is the target release date is May 1980. We're only about 2 years away for a release date, and you got marketing and trailers and getting the toys out and everything else. They're not going to wait a whole year to get the toys out like they did with Star Wars, because everybody knows Star Wars 2 is going to be a hit. It won't be as big as Star Wars, but it's going to be a hit. Star Wars is the biggest movie of all times, so Star Wars 2 is going to be right up there. Everybody's going to be eager to see it. So could Steven Spielberg direct Star Wars 2. You think about that. Steven Spielberg. I love Jaws as much as you all love Jaws. Close Encounters, really great movie. Really great science fiction movie. Just the thought of it gets to me. Steven Spielberg directing Star Wars 2. Maybe when you come back to the next podcast, I might have that news for you. I might be able to tell you. It's official. Steven Spielberg is directing. Now, I don't like doing rumors, but I'm going to tell you. If George Lucas is not doing Star Wars 2, if he's not directing Star Wars 2, now he will have a hand in it if he doesn't direct. He will produce, and he will write it, and he will be there on set, and he's George Lucas. I'm going to go ahead and call it. If George Lucas is not going to direct Star Wars, it's going to be Steven Spielberg. I would bet $50 on it right now. If that's unless Steven Spielberg doesn't want to do it. And why wouldn't you want to direct the biggest sequel of all times? But let's go on to some other news. Okay, let's talk the comic world now. We're going to start off. I don't know if you call this comic book. I kind of fit it into the comic book section. Back in January, Mad Magazine did a Star Wars issue. And please, if you didn't pick this one up, look for it, find it, do whatever you have to do. It's hysterical, but it's Mad Magazine. You know it's going to be funny. Pick it up just so you can read the lighter side of it. That's all you really need, or Spy vs. Spy. So I love Mad Magazine as is, but to pick up one that's Star Wars related, it's just an extra plus. They changed Star Wars into Star Wars, R-O-A-R-S, Star Wars. Get it? I'm going to read you the opening text scrawl from the Mad Magazine parody. Okay, in a galaxy millions of light years away, a bad, evil galactic empire has plans for a super space station that can destroy an entire planet. Led by good Princess Leah, rebel forces steal the plans, and a mighty star war takes place. And then it goes into the parody of the movie. So sorry I wasn't here to tell you about it sooner. Hopefully you did pick this up in January. You might be able to find it out there somewhere. Some of the newsstands carry back issues. So you might want to ask your local newsstand if they have any of the old back issues to Mad magazines. Now before we go on and talk about toys, really quick, we're going to take a break for these sponsors.
Why settle for some of it when you can get all of it?
Get it all, get to Zare and get it all.
It's gotta be a knockout, so I got to Zare. It's gotta last.
It's gotta have a name I know.
So we got to Zare.
Get it all,
it's gotta be a real value.
Get to Zare and get it all.
Exciting fashions, famous brands, honest quality, genuine value.
Get to Zare and get it all.
And you can find the greatest deals at your local Zares, like the Zares at 2437 Eisenhower Parkway. Okay, let's talk the action figures of the toys, because that's what everybody wants. They're in high demand. I can't hardly find them. Let's see, I picked up a Stormtrooper and a Tusken Raider. My brother picked up a Han Solo. I was so jealous, but most time when you get to the store, the shelves are empty. I had a guy I know in Vancouver that found a Jawa from the large-scale action figure line, but I haven't seen any of the ships play sets yet. I'm starting to hear reports that there's 2 different Jawa action figures. Now, probably the most common one is the one he's wearing a plastic cape, like Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, cape much like theirs. But however, there seems to be a rumor out there, I haven't been able to confirm this or find one myself yet, that there's a Jawa with more of a cloth cape that covers his whole body. And I don't know why Kenner would do 2 different versions of this. And I don't know why they would make it, they seem to be going with the Vader cape and the Obi-Wan cape and the Jawa cape all kind of had the same theme and look. I don't know why they would switch it up and go with a cloth. So be on the lookout. If you see this cloth cape Jawa, you might want to pick up an extra pair too, because you might not be able to find it. From what I hear, it might be kind of rare. It might be the hardest Jawa to find, and Jawa is already hard to find, as you know. And these figures started hitting in early March. The mail-away box set that came out around Christmas time started to show up at people's doorsteps around January, I think. So they're out there. I know my local Toy City put an advertisement in that they had Star Wars stuff in stock, but I've got there probably, later that night, 6, 7 o'clock, and the shelves were empty. So if you're looking for the Star Wars action figures, good luck. And like I said, the large-scale action figures are supposedly out. I haven't seen any. I know a guy that sent me a picture of a Jawa that apparently he found at a JCPenney's. So you might want to check there. Wherever toys are sold is where you want to check. Now, these are really good, detailed-looking action figures. They look a lot like the characters from the movie. They look like they have a lot of play value. The ships, Kenner decided to go with a smaller line than normal. Most people go with, most action figures are the size of maybe a Barbie doll, the $6 Million Man. They went a little smaller, 3 3/8. Why did they do this? Well, it went with the ships better. I mean, they did do the large-scale action figure line, which everybody's probably going to pick up. But the main line is the smaller line, so that's so you can have ships to put them in. I mean, if they did the whole line of if the whole line was large scale, you couldn't make a Falcon and a TIE Fighter. You wouldn't be able to get it in your house. So I think that's why they went a little smaller. It's probably a risky idea, but hopefully, from the way it looks like it's selling and it's a hot item, looks like kids don't care. In fact, I found them easier to play with. The Jawa, I only can play with the Jawa and Stormtrooper, unless my brother's here and he lets me play with his Han Solo. So with that, I think it's easier to play with these smaller ones. I haven't got any of the ships yet. I really would love to get that Falcon, but we're talking about $25 is about the retail price of that. I don't know who's got $25 to spend on toys, so maybe at Christmas time I'll be able to get that Falcon. It's huge and looks pretty awesome. The best one is probably the Death Star playset. I haven't seen it in stores either yet. It looks amazing, but it runs you to about $20. Can you believe that? $20. Crazy. But it looks like it's worth it. It's 3 stories high. Has a working trash compactor, a working elevator, a light bridge that opens and closes, a cannon that you can blow up. You hit a button and it explodes. So it looks, I really can't wait to get this playset, open it up and play with it. It looks like a lot of fun. But again, that's about $20. But the figures are going to be a little bit better. Figures are going to run you, a couple dollars, $2, $3 at the most. So they're easier to buy than the ships and the play sets and everything. But in time, I hope to save up and really want to get that Falcon and the Death Star the most. So if you're out there, you're looking for these Star Wars action figures, let us know if you find any. Because, like I said, they're very rare to find. Kenner has said that they're put them in mass production. I think from what I've heard from Kenner is that that's all they're doing now. They kind of put everything else on hold. They're making so many of these action figures, get them out there to the stores. The only problem is, they are manufactured in Hong Kong, so they ship them from Hong Kong to the U.S. to the Kenner plant. Then the Kenner has to ship them out to the stores. Then the stores' distribution centers have to ship them to their anchor stores, and then they hit the shelves. And then you're standing at the shelves waiting to buy them all. And I don't think Kenner realized how hot this item was going to be. I don't think even Lucasfilm knew exactly how big the toys were going to be. So that's why they're hard to find. But Kenner promises that once production catches up with the demand, they'll be in every store. You'll be able to find them. It won't be rare. It won't be hard to find. Just give it a little more time. I'm guessing by May you'll be able to walk into any store that sells toys and be able to pick up a Star Wars action figure, any one you want. So what figures are out there? Let's run down the list of what's out there. Sand People in Sand Fighter costume with a gaffy stick. Next you have C-3PO with a shiny gold finish. Death Star Commander with a laser rifle. Han Solo with his laser pistol. Chewbacca with a laser rifle. Now Chewbacca's a little taller. He's a little over 4 inches. Princess Leia Organa has a removable cape and a laser pistol. And that's her last name, Organa. I know I've heard a lot of people say, what is Princess Leia's last name? Does she have a last name? If you read the novel, you know her last name's Organa. But a lot of people, just casual movie fans, probably walked out of Star Wars not knowing if she had a last name. I've heard some people that say Leia is her last name. No, her name is Princess Leia Organa. And like I said, she comes with a removable cape and a laser pistol. The other is Luke Skywalker with his action lightsaber. R2-D2 with movable legs and a head that clicks. Darth Vader with an action lightsaber and a removable cape. Stormtrooper with a laser rifle. Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi with an action lightsaber and removable cape. Jawa with shining eyes and a laser gun. And that's the 12 figures that are out right there. Also, you have a TIE Fighter with fly-off solar panels, laser lights, and sound. An X-Wing fighter with retractable wings, laser lights, and also sounds. One I really can't wait to get my hands on, the Land Speeder with floating motion. That sounds pretty cool. And right now, too, if you buy the action figures, send off the proofs of purchase, you can get a collector's action figure stand. That's right, display all 12 of the Star Wars figures. It's sturdy plastic with action levers to move figures back and forth. Figures are easily removed for play value. All you have to do is send in your name, your address with zip code, and proofs of purchase. That's the little General Mills Fun Group symbol on the back of the package. Take 2 of those from a Star Wars action figure. Send $2 along with it. Mail that in to Star Wars Collector's Action Stand, P.O. Box 1313, 1 in Industrial Drive, Maples Plain, Minnesota 55348. Now, it's going to take you about 8 to 10 weeks for delivery, and have to have these in before May 1st, 1979. That's a long time, 1979. I think we can all have our proofs of purchases sent in by then. But that's a look at the action figures, what's all out there right now. Of course, there is a large-scale action figure line. These are more like the size of a $6 Million Man. Some of them call them dolls. They're not dolls. They're large action figures. They're out there, too. I don't have a list of who's all out there, but this is what I know. There's Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Darth Vader, Chewbacca, Stormtrooper, R2, and 3PO. That's, I think, 8. I think that's all of them. Oh, a Jawa, 10. Jawa probably rounds it out with 10 of them. So look for those also. But that's a look at the Star Wars Kenner action figure line. Okay, let's see what else we're going to talk about. Now, this is a little off topic. I just want to bring it up. Did anyone see that basketball game last night? Kentucky beat Duke 94-88. I'm not even that much of a sports fan, but that was exciting to watch. And another sad news, I just wanted to bring this up. It's not Star Wars related, but I was a fan of John Kelsey. He passed away a few weeks ago. I think it was March 12th. If you don't know this actor, he played Sal in Dog Day Afternoon. A very good movie. He played Fredo in The Godfather. He's only done about 4 movies. This is the only movies he's done. Now listen, this is a great resume, isn't it? The Godfather. He was Stan in The Conversation. He returned for Godfather Part 2. And then he was Sal in Dog Day Afternoon. And he played Stan in The Deer Hunter. What's that, 4 or 5 great movies? But I just want to take this time to mention that I was a fan of his. He was a really great actor, and I really hate to see that we lost him so young. And in other news, let's talk about this. It can kind of be Star Wars related. NBC has announced they're teamed up with Glenn Larson Productions. They did the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew Mystery Hour. NBC want what they call a Star Wars television show. Well, of course, they can't make a Star Wars television show, so they're going to do the next best thing. They're going to make their own science fiction TV show. It's going to be called Battlestar Galactica. I don't know what that... I'm reading it here. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that. Galactica. Battlestar Galactica. Plan is to have this on NBC by the fall, so I'm guessing around September when the new shows start out. We don't know who all is going to be on this show yet, but the only name they've dropped so far is Lauren Green, who you all may remember from Bonanza. He's going to be the star of the show. I haven't heard anything else. I know it's not Star Wars related, but I'm really into science fiction. I'm pretty sure you are also. So as we get more news on this new Battlestar Galactica television show, I'll keep you all posted on it. But when it comes to TV shows and Star Wars, could there be a Star Wars television show in the works? Now, this is just a rumor, so don't get too excited. But there's a rumor that something's being filmed or production has started on something over at CBS Studios that's Star Wars related. We don't know what it is. I haven't been able to find out anything, like I said, more than just rumors, hearsay. You know, like I said, I go to these science fiction conventions and I do a science fiction club. We have meetings every couple of weeks. And it's been floating around there that there's something being done over at CBS Studios. Again, that's Star Wars related. I'm going to keep my ear really close to the rumor mill for this. If there's anything new comes of it, I'll let you know. How would you feel about a Star Wars television show? It'd be really great probably if they did a CBS Saturday morning cartoon. That'd be really great. So as I hear more about this rumor, if there's any truth to it, or we find out there's no truth at all to it, I'll keep you posted on that. But we do have something Star Wars coming to you very soon, April 12th. Random House is releasing the Story of Star Wars Storybook. And Galactic is going to do a version of the same book in June, but you can pick up the Random House one on April 12th. Random House promises the story would tell the story of Star Wars using exciting text and beautiful glossy photos. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see this book and all the pictures from the film. It's going to be a really great book to pick up April 12th at your local bookstore. And let's say you head out to get this Star Wars book, but Barnaby Jones is on, or the Rockford Files. What do? Well, don't worry. Panasonic has a VCR, video cassette recorder, that can record up to 8 hours of television program. And here's Panasonic to tell you a little bit more.
Terrific! But suppose it's over 3 hours. Relax! Panasonic VHS takes up to 4 hours of sports, movie specials on one cassette. Wow. The VHS is for me. Caught the whole game. Best catch of the day. Yeah.
VHS, the 4-hour system from Panasonic and other leading companies.
Well, that's it, our very first episode of the Star Wars podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening, and I hope you learned something about Star Wars. It sure is fun to share my love for this film. Now, in the coming weeks, we'll do another episode, and we'll go over it all again. We'll have new news about Star Wars, and the upcoming sequel, Star Wars 2, more about the Kenner action figure line, and all the merchandise that's out there. I mean, Star Wars isn't just toys. There's bed sheets, there's curtains, there's clothing, there's school lunch boxes, school book bags, pencil sets, film projectors. Almost everything has the Star Wars name on it now. So I want to thank you again for listening to our podcast, and please share your love for Star Wars. If you find anything Star Wars, let us know. So please, wake the neighbors, phone the kids, wake the cats. Let them know about the first Star Wars podcast. Now you don't just have to talk Star Wars with your friends. You can talk Star Wars with all of America. Thank you for listening.
Get ready for a new look to ABC's All-Star Saturday. Starting with that cool cat, the Pink Panther.
Oh, tear 'em apart!
And Bankface. Then it's the new 90-minute challenge of the Super Friends. Followed by everybody's favorite, Scooby's All-Stars, starting Saturday.